What are nakshatras in Vedic astrology? Nakshatras are the ancient star divisions of the zodiac, deeply rooted in the astronomical sky and essential to Vedic astrology. Unlike the 12 zodiac signs that are solar in nature and seasonal, nakshatras are lunar divisions based on the moon's daily motion and the visible constellations. There are 27 primary nakshatras, each covering 13 degrees and 20 minutes of the 360-degree zodiac, forming the precise framework for lunar-based predictions. From a star perspective, each nakshatra corresponds to one or more fixed stars or visible star clusters. For instance, Rohini is anchored to Aldebaran, the red eye of Taurus, Magha is tied to Regulus, the brightest star in Leo, and Jyeshtha links to Antares, the heart of the Scorpion. These are not symbolic associations. They are actual coordinates in the night sky that the ancients observed and codified into astrological meaning. This sky mapping method makes Vedic astrology one of the most astronomically accurate systems in the world. The moon, being the fastest moving planet in Vedic astrology, spends roughly one day in each nakshatra. This movement gives the nakshatras their emotional flavor. Your moon's nakshatra at birth is called your Janma Nakshatra, and it reveals your emotional nature, instincts, mental tendencies, and karmic imprint. This is why the nakshatra is central to dasha calculations, compatibility, and timing life events. What makes nakshatras so powerful is that each one is more than just a set of degrees. They are celestial fields of meaning. Every nakshatra has a ruling deity, a symbolic animal, a planetary ruler, and a specific psychological function or Shakti, power. These sky sectors act as energetic portals or karmic windows through which your destiny unfolds. The stars are not just background, they are active forces. Astronomically, the concept of nakshatras predates the 12-sign solar zodiac. Ancient Vedic seers used star risings and lunar conjunctions with fixed stars to determine sacred timings, agricultural cycles, and ceremonial rituals. This means that nakshatras originally evolved from a stellar calendar system, grounded in nature and sky observation, not just philosophy. Modern astronomy confirms the brilliance of this system. The positions of these star clusters still align with the nakshatra system, as Vedic astrology uses a sidereal, fixed star, zodiac, not a moving tropical one. So while Western astrology may say your moon is in Sagittarius, Vedic astrology might place it in Mula Nakshatra, at the galactic center, a powerful point of transformation and destruction. This connection to real stars means nakshatras help us reclaim the original astrology, where celestial bodies weren't abstract energies, but literal cosmic influences. As you watch the sky and track the moon, you're also tracking your mood, your karma, and your spiritual progress. That's the beauty of nakshatra-based astrology. It's emotional, ancient, predictive, and rooted in starlight. So when you look up at the night sky, remember, those constellations are not just stars. They're the living libraries of your soul's journey, encoded in the nakshatras. While Western astrology is based on the tropical zodiac, which aligns the signs with the seasons, Aries begins at the spring equinox, Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac, which aligns the signs with the actual constellations in the sky. This creates a crucial divergence. Over centuries, due to the precession of the equinoxes, the tropical zodiac has drifted away from the fixed stars. In contrast, nakshatras remain firmly tied to the visible sky, preserving the original astronomical alignment. This means that in Western astrology, the focus is more solar, centered on sun sign traits, seasonal cycles, and psychological archetypes. But in Vedic astrology, nakshatras bring a deeper emotional and karmic precision, especially because they're tied to the moon's motion, which governs the mind, instincts, and subtle body. So while the sun represents identity, the moon reveals how we process life emotionally, and this is where nakshatras offer their richest insights. Another major distinction lies in predictive astrology. Western systems often rely on transits and progressions, but Vedic astrology uses the Vimshottari Dasha system, which is completely based on the nakshatra the moon occupied at birth. This dasha system divides your life into planetary periods, unfolding like chapters in a karmic storybook. The moon's nakshatra determines not just how you feel, but what type of experiences you'll magnetize in certain phases of life. Moreover, each nakshatra has its own symbolism and mythic context, providing a layer of spiritual narrative absent in Western systems. For example, Ashwini is ruled by the twin horsemen, the Ashwini Kumaras, gods of healing and initiation. Bharani is ruled by Yama, the god of death and dharma. These aren't abstract figures. They represent archetypal energies that shape how you meet life's themes, like leadership, destruction, nurturing, or transcendence. Western astrology might tell you that your moon in Sagittarius makes you adventurous or philosophical, but Vedic astrology will ask, is it in Mula Nakshatra, with roots in destruction and transformation? Or in Uttara Ashadha, linked to Apa, the water goddess, and the power to purify and uplift? These distinctions go beyond personality. They speak to your soul's evolutionary intention. The nakshatras also add granularity to timing, known as muhurta, electional astrology. In Vedic traditions, no major life event, marriage, childbirth, business launch, is initiated without checking the moon's current nakshatra. This is because each nakshatra has a specific energy. Some are good for beginnings, others for endings, travel, warfare, or healing. Western astrology doesn't traditionally offer this kind of minute-by-minute cosmic mapping. Ultimately, the nakshatra system reflects the Vedic approach to life as a spiritual journey shaped by karma and dharma. It doesn't just tell you who you are, it tells you why you are here, what you're working through, and which divine archetype governs your path. In contrast, Western astrology often centers around psychological integration, whereas Vedic astrology, and nakshatras in particular, focuses on spiritual integration and karmic unfolding. In the modern age, as we seek more personalized, precise, and spiritually resonant tools of self-awareness, nakshatras are being rediscovered by students and seekers across the globe. Their power lies in their ability to blend astronomy, mythology, psychology, and karma, all through the lens of stars that have guided humanity for millennia. Nakshatras are not just tools for prediction. They are living blueprints of human nature, mapping everything from your psychological behavior and personality traits to your physical body type, emotional tendencies, and even the karmic lessons your soul has chosen for this lifetime. Each nakshatra acts like a cosmic fingerprint, offering multi-layered insight that goes far beyond what zodiac signs alone can reveal. At the most personal level, your Janma Nakshatra, the nakshatra where the moon was placed at the time of your birth, reflects your mind's conditioning, your emotional temperament, and your default mode of reacting to life. For example, someone born under Ashlasha may display intense emotional intelligence, secrecy, and coiled inner power, much like its serpent symbolism. On the other hand, someone with the moon in Pushya is naturally nurturing, devotional, and service-oriented, with a grounded and structured emotional core. From a body-based perspective, classical Vedic texts and nakshatra lore also describe physical attributes associated with each star segment. For instance, Bharani natives often have well-developed sensuous bodies, strong appetites, and intense magnetic eyes, reflecting their rulership by Venus and deity Yama, who governs life and death. Rohini natives, ruled by the moon and associated with growth and fertility, are typically attractive, charming, and physically well-proportioned, often drawing admiration effortlessly. But where nakshatras go even deeper is in their connection to the soul's evolutionary journey. Each nakshatra has a built-in Shakti, a unique power or capacity. This Shakti reveals what the soul is here to master or express in this incarnation. For example, Chitra Nakshatra has the Shakti to accumulate merit through righteous action, making its natives driven toward creative excellence and ethical leadership. Mula, ruled by Niriti, the goddess of dissolution, has the power to ruin or break apart, not as a curse, but as a soul-level calling to dismantle illusions and seek root truth. That's why nakshatras are often used in soul path readings, especially through D60, Shastyamsa, or Atmakaraka-based analysis, because they provide the mythic and karmic architecture beneath your physical reality. In fact, the ancient seers saw nakshatras as divine gateways, each one a portal between human life and cosmic intelligence. The deity, symbol, and story attached to a nakshatra are not just cultural myths. They are archetypal energies shaping your fate and free will. Nakshatras also inform our relationships and compatibility, not just through moon sign matching, but through deep energetic resonance. For example, the nakshatra-based Kuda system evaluates factors like mental compatibility Gana, emotional bonding Tara, and longevity of the bond Yoni. These aren't symbolic, they're based on how your emotional rhythms, shaped by your moon's nakshatra, flow with another's. A Chitra native might crave independence and intellectual stimulation, while a Revati person may seek softness and emotional depth. Even your vocation, talents, and ideal environment can be extracted from nakshatra analysis. Someone born under Shatabisha, ruled by Rahu and linked with Varuna, is drawn toward medicine, healing, esoteric sciences, and working in solitary or unconventional environments. In contrast, a Magha native thrives in leadership roles tied to ancestry, legacy, and upholding tradition. These soul paths are not random. They are karmically designed via the nakshatra system. So when we say nakshatras reveal human nature, it's not just a surface-level personality sketch. It's an encoded map of your body, mind, soul, and destiny. It integrates physical form, emotional function, psychological structure, and spiritual blueprint, making it one of the most holistic tools in Vedic astrology. In essence, the nakshatras don't just describe who you are, they remind you of why you are here. The basics of Krittika Nakshatra. Krittika Nakshatra is the third lunar mansion in Vedic astrology, extending from 26°40 Aries to 10° Taurus. This nakshatra spans across two signs, Aries and Taurus, giving it a dual energy, the initiating fire of Aries and the stabilizing earth of Taurus. The name Krittika means the cutter, symbolizing the power to refine, burn away impurities, and separate truth from illusion. It is represented by a razor, blade, or flame, emphasizing its purifying and sometimes piercing qualities. Mythological deity. Krittika is governed by Agni, the Vedic god of fire, who symbolizes transformation, digestion, purification, and divine illumination. Agni is also the divine intermediary, the one who accepts offerings and transmits them to the gods, thus linking Krittika to sacrifice, clarity, and sacred responsibility. In another myth, the 6 stars of the Pleiades, Krittikas, are the foster mothers of Kartikeya, Skanda Murugan, the warrior son of Shiva. This ties the nakshatra to themes of nurturing through discipline, martial courage, and spiritual initiation. Shakti power. Krittika holds the Dahana Shakti, or the power to burn and purify. It is the fire that removes the untruth, that cauterizes wounds to stop decay, and that lights the way forward. This makes Krittika natives truth-oriented, incisive, perfection-seeking, and often uncompromising when it comes to values or clarity. Their energy works best when directed toward upliftment, healing, leadership, and transformational service. Ruler Krittika's planetary ruler is the sun, which amplifies its qualities of illumination, ego strength, nobility, and inner radiance. The sun's brilliance here adds a sense of mission, self-worth, and leadership to the nakshatra's already potent fire. However, it can also lead to harshness, ego rigidity, or excessive criticality if not balanced with humility and empathy. Span and star reference. Total span, 2640 Aries, 10° Taurus. Star reference, the brightest star in Krittika is Eta Tauri Alcyon, the central star in the Pleiades, Krittika's cluster of the Taurus constellation. This group of stars, known as the Six Sisters, is highly visible and has been revered across cultures for their link to divine knowledge, nourishment, and fire-based wisdom. The 4 padas of Krittika Nakshatra. Each of the 4 padas quarters of Krittika is aligned with a specific Navamsa, which flavors the fire of this nakshatra with unique motivations and soul expressions. These also align subtly with different aspects of the Pleiades cluster, providing a layered relationship between sky body and psychological traits. Pada 1, 26°40 30° Evamsa, Sagittarius, Dispositor, Jupiter. Star reference, Alcyon's fiery threshold, near transition from Ashwini Bharani Krittika arc. Nature. Inspirational, idealistic, action-oriented. This pada ignites the flame of righteousness. These individuals have a moralistic fire and are driven by higher principles, adventure, and teaching. They often take leadership in spiritual, philosophical, or justice-driven domains. Their energy is direct, expansive, and idealistically intense. Pada 2, 0D0 to 3D20 Taurus. Navamsa Capricorn. Dispositor Saturn. Star reference region near 27 Tauri, a faint Pleiades boundary star. Nature, grounded, duty-bound, disciplined. This pada brings the fire down to earth. It channels Krittika's sharpness into practical mastery, systems, and leadership within structure. These individuals are capable organizers, strategists, and implementers of long-term visions. Their strength lies in hard work, precision, and restrained power. Pada 3, 3D20 to 6D40 Taurus, Aquarius. Dispositor Saturn. Star reference. Aligns with stars between Alcyone and Electra, within the heart of the Pleiades. Nature. Inventive, humanitarian, reformist. This is the most progressive and socially reformative part of Krittika. These individuals use their fiery insight to challenge norms, advance innovation, and serve community upliftment. Their energy combines intellect, rebellion, and ethical fire, often leading to careers in tech, healing, or advocacy. Pada 4, 6° 40s, Navamsa, Pisces. Disposit Jupiter. Star reference, Star Alcyone, and the Mystical Cluster Center. Mystical, sensitive, compassionate. This is the most intuitive and spiritually reflective section of Krittika. The fire here becomes inward and sacred, manifesting as poetic expression, ritual mastery, spiritual devotion, or silent service. These natives often carry ancient wisdom and may have a past life connection to healing temples or esoteric traditions. Krittika Nakshatra is the celestial blade that severs illusion, the fire that both nourishes and scorches. Its natives are truth seekers, protectors, mentors, and transformational guides, endowed with the power to lead through precision, clarity, and purification. When their sharp energy is balanced with compassion and humility, they become not just critics, but illuminators of the path for others. Krittika Nakshatra characteristics. Krittika natives are sharp, intense, and uncompromising in their pursuit of truth, clarity, and refinement. Ruled by the sun and presided over by Agni, the Vedic fire god, these individuals are born to illuminate, purify, and transform, whether it's through speech, action, or inner strength. There's a blazing inner fire within them that constantly seeks to burn away impurities, whether in people, systems, or even their own habits. As a result, they are often seen as reformers, critics, or high standard bearers, never settling for mediocrity. Psychologically, Krittika individuals have a razor-sharp mind and a penetrating focus. They often possess the ability to see through pretense, cut through emotional fog, and get to the root of an issue quickly and without hesitation. This makes them formidable truth-tellers, but also means they may sometimes come across as harsh, blunt, or overly critical. Their intent, however, is rarely malicious. They believe deeply in constructive confrontation, believing that growth only comes when ego, illusion, or error is challenged head-on. There is also a deeply ritualistic and disciplined side to Krittika natives. Influenced by Agni, they often feel the need to cleanse, order, or structure their lives. Many are drawn to daily routines, sacred rituals, or practices that help them channel their fiery energy constructively, such as yoga, martial arts, spiritual sadhana, or physical training. When they don't have these outlets, the intensity can turn inward, manifesting as self-criticism, overthinking, or even burnout. Krittika is a nakshatra of service through refinement. These individuals are naturally inclined to lead, teach, or guide, but only after proving their worth through rigorous self-discipline and tested authority. Their leadership style is direct, performance-driven, and often transformational. They're not the warmest personalities in the zodiac, but they are respected for their integrity, focus, and consistency. People follow them not because they charm, but because they illuminate what's necessary. Creatively, Krittika natives possess a strong aesthetic sense, but it's not flowy or dreamy. It's precise, bold, and often symbolic. Their artistic expression is structured and intentional. Whether they work in fashion, design, architecture, or writing, their style is refined, impactful, and emotionally purifying. They are perfectionists at heart, and their creations often carry a message of moral or psychological clarity. Emotionally, these individuals take time to open up. They tend to hold their feelings close and can have difficulty expressing vulnerability, especially if they fear being seen as weak. Yet, once their trust is earned, they are protective and fiercely loyal, often acting as emotional guardians for their loved ones. Their love is not flowery, but deep, loyal, and tested by fire. In relationships, Krittika individuals seek partners who respect their boundaries, recognize their truthfulness, and match their intensity. They often don't do well with passive or evasive people. Instead, they are drawn to those who are equally dedicated, self-improving, and emotionally honest. Their karmic journey in love often involves learning to soften their sharpness and allow warmth and tenderness to coexist with truth and strength. At a soul level, Krittika Nakshatra represents the cosmic purifier, the divine flame that burns away illusion to reveal essence. Natives of this star are here to serve as fire bearers, igniting clarity in a world clouded by compromise. Their path isn't always easy. They demand much of themselves and others, but when aligned with purpose, they become illuminators of Dharma, stewards of sacred order, and guardians of personal integrity. Planets in Krittika Nakshatra. When the sun is placed in Krittika Nakshatra, it is in its own domain, enhancing the native's leadership, self-confidence, and clarity of purpose. These individuals often possess a strong moral compass and feel called to shine a light on truth, injustice, or ignorance. Their presence is commanding, and they naturally take charge in family, social, or professional settings. However, this placement also heightens ego sensitivity, and they must be mindful of becoming overly rigid, prideful, or domineering. When evolved, they serve as radiant guides and purifiers, unafraid to challenge illusions with solar authority. With the moon in Krittika, the native becomes emotionally intense, protective, and at times, sharply reactive. The lunar mind here is discriminating and deeply perceptive, often picking up on subtleties others miss. These individuals may seem emotionally cool or overly rational, but their nurturing comes through discipline and action, rather than overt sentiment. They protect by correcting, love by refining. Emotional security is often tied to control, order, and responsibility, and they benefit from environments that honor truth, routine, and sacred rituals. Mars in Krittika ignites a highly dynamic and fierce temperament. These natives are driven, bold, and razor-focused, often excelling in fields that require courage, technical mastery, or physical precision, such as surgery, military strategy, martial arts, or competitive sports. They are quick to act, intense in passion, and sometimes sharp in speech or temper. Their life lesson lies in learning to temper aggression with purpose and to use their fire for constructive transformation rather than domination. When Mercury is in Krittika, the intellect becomes sharp, cutting, and intensely focused. These individuals are precise communicators, editors, strategists, and analysts. They excel in professions where words must be chosen with surgical skill, such as law, research, or critique. Their speech can be both powerful and piercing, truthful, but at times blunt. Mercury here also favors technical and spiritual writing, especially content that purifies or awakens consciousness. They must, however, learn to balance intellect with empathy or risk isolating themselves emotionally. Jupiter in Krittika blends spiritual wisdom with a purifying fire. These natives are moral teachers, philosophical reformers, or ethical guardians, often passionate about uncovering truth and transmitting ancient knowledge. Their guidance may feel strict or uncompromising, but it is rooted in a desire to help others grow through truth and clarity. They make excellent gurus, counselors, or advisors, especially in disciplines that combine ritual, ethics, and knowledge transmission. Their challenge lies in softening rigidity of belief while still holding high standards. Venus in Krittika adds a layer of refined sensuality, aesthetic power, and relationship intensity. These natives are artistically gifted, especially in structured, symmetrical, or symbolic forms of art, architecture, sculpture, design, classical music. They seek beauty that is purposeful and elevated, not merely ornamental. In love, they can be deeply loyal but also demanding, often expecting emotional honesty, refinement, and growth. There may be karmic lessons around transforming ego-based desire into sacred love, especially when Venus occupies the Taurus portion of Krittika. With Saturn in Krittika, the fire of purification becomes slower, deeper, and more enduring. These individuals are disciplined, duty-bound, and often feel a karmic burden to uphold truth or carry out a cleansing mission in their work or family life. They make excellent ritualists, system reformers, healers, or engineers of transformation, but may struggle with emotional detachment or critical rigidity. This Saturn placement often forces the native to go through personal purification by fire, through loss, struggle, or moral tests, until they emerge as wise and tempered guides. Rahu in Krittika amplifies the desire to cut through convention, seek elite status, or burn away social masks. These natives are often drawn to controversial truths, power positions, or radical reform, and may use charisma and intellect to challenge outdated norms. Rahu here can make the person fascinating but polarizing, especially if their speech is seen as too blunt or disruptive. When evolved, they become innovators and trailblazers, often involved in fiery movements of social, spiritual, or ideological transformation. Ketu in Krittika reflects past life mastery over discipline, sacrifice, or ascetic fire. These individuals often carry deep inner knowledge about spiritual purification, sacred rituals, or moral clarity, but may feel emotionally detached or overwhelmed by worldly relationships. Ketu in Krittika creates a silent spiritual warrior archetype, someone who leads by example and refines the world through quiet presence rather than loud action. Their soul seeks detachment from ego and recognition, often turning toward renunciation, healing, or soul-level purification in this life. Across all planetary placements, Krittika acts as a divine blade, cutting through falseness, awakening truth, and refining both the self and others. Planets placed here are challenged to act with precision, clarity, and sacred responsibility, turning raw fire into transformative brilliance. The basics of Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra is the 12th lunar mansion in Vedic astrology, spanning from 2640 Leo to 10 Virgo. Its name means the latter reddish one, or the latter fig tree, symbolizing the maturing of creative energy into commitment, service, and lasting union. Where Purva Phalguni celebrates pleasure and love in its initial stages, Uttara Phalguni represents the solidification of that love through partnership, contracts, and dharmic duty. Its symbols, a bed's back legs, a marriage couch, or a healing seat, represent stability, responsibility, and enduring support. Mythological deity. The ruling deity of Uttara Phalguni is Aryaman, one of the 12 solar adityas and the deity of nobility, honor, contracts, and social righteousness. Aryaman governs marriage alliances, lawful agreements, and social duty, bringing a refined sense of ethics, cooperation, and interpersonal commitment. Under his influence, this nakshatra gives a strong sense of fairness, loyalty, and structured affection, especially in partnerships, both personal and professional. Uttara Phalguni carries the Chayani Shakti, the power to gain through union or marriage. This Shakti is not only about romantic union, but also includes collaboration, friendships, contracts, and soul agreements that yield mutual benefit. It is the nakshatra of shared dharma, where pleasure meets purpose, and where love finds its roots in service, loyalty, and higher values. Ruler. The planetary ruler of Uttara Phalguni is the sun, which provides a sense of personal integrity, honor, and a dharmic orientation. The sun here supports clarity in relationships, a need for ethical alignment, and a natural desire to serve others through one's power and presence. In Virgo's segment, this solar energy is refined and matured, manifesting as service-minded leadership and practical wisdom. The Leo part is more expressive and bold, while the Virgo part is more analytical and purpose-driven. Span and star reference. Span, 26 degrees 40 Leo, 10 degrees 0 Virgo. Star reference, Denebola Beta Lenis, and surrounding stars in Leo Virgo. Denebola is the tail of the lion and symbolizes graceful withdrawal from ego, making way for humility, service, and integration of knowledge. These stars symbolize the transition from self-expression to service and from romantic desire to mature partnership. The 4 padas of Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. Each pada quarter of Uttara Phalguni expresses the shift from Leo's royal charisma to Virgo's grounded responsibility, refining how the energy of union, purpose, and support is lived. Pada 1, 26 DZ 40, 30 DZ Leo. Navamsa, Aries, dispositor, Mars, near Dinabola, tail of Leo. Nature, bold, action-oriented, dharmic protector. This pada expresses strong leadership within committed relationships. Natives may be pioneers in social reform, marriage counseling, or administrative service. Pada 2, Virgis 0320 Virgo. Navamsa, Taurus, Venus, star reference, Virgo's earliest constellation arc. Nature, practical, loyal, harmonizing. These individuals bring balance and sensuality into unions, valuing stability and emotional depth. They may find success in partnership-based business or artistic collaborations. Pada 3-3, 3-20 thoughts, 6-6-3-40. Gemini, dispositor, Mercury, mid-Virgo stars. Nature, intellectually curious, communicative, adaptive. This is the most verbal and idea-driven expression of Uttara Phalguni. Natives may excel in contracts, negotiation, writing, or educational partnerships. Pada 4, 60-40 to Tenri, Virgo. Cancer, Moon. Moon toward Virgo's emotional arc. Nature, emotionally giving, nurturing, loyal. These individuals are emotionally invested in helping and healing others, often working in healthcare, family services, or emotionally supportive professions. Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra represents the sacred contract between self and service, between love and loyalty, and between pleasure and purpose. Its natives are here to build lasting structures, whether in marriage, society, or spirituality, by honoring commitment, righteousness, and shared dharma. They remind us that joy matures into service, and that true partnership begins not with passion, but with devotion to something greater than the self. Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra characteristics. Uttara Phalguni natives are dutiful, generous, and relationship-centered individuals, driven by a strong sense of purpose, loyalty, and moral responsibility. Ruled by the sun and presided over by Aryaman, the deity of contracts, alliances, and ethical bonds, they are here to support others through structured relationships, both personal and professional. Their energy is steadfast and reliable, radiating warmth through service, maturity, and protective presence, rather than flamboyant self-expression. Psychologically, these individuals are balanced, focused, and cooperative, with a natural orientation toward fairness, long-term thinking, and shared prosperity. They have a clear internal compass that guides them in matters of trust, union, and mutual obligation. While they enjoy the pleasures of life, especially in the Leo portion, they also possess the emotional sobriety and humility of Virgo, particularly in later degrees. They seek meaningful connection and contribution, and are not content with superficial bonds or ego-driven alliances. In relationships, Uttara Phalguni natives are devoted, loyal, and partnership-oriented. They value consistency, honesty, and shared values in love, and often enter into committed, long-lasting unions. They see love as a sacred duty, and are willing to support their partner emotionally, financially, or spiritually. However, they may become overly responsible or expect too much from themselves in a relationship, taking on burdens silently. Their karmic lesson is to balance giving with receiving, and to allow intimacy without overmanaging the dynamics. Professionally, these natives are service-driven and highly dependable, thriving in roles that involve administration, healthcare, education, legal systems, or partnerships. They excel at managing systems, people, and agreements, and are often drawn to professions where helping others build stable lives is a core function. Their solar rulership gives them inner authority and leadership, but it's expressed through cooperation, not control. Many become counselors, advisors, therapists, or social workers, as they are naturally inclined to heal and harmonize. Socially, they are respectful, warm, and measured, often seen as people of principle and trustworthiness. They prefer purposeful relationships and sincere interactions over casual or status-driven engagements. Whether in family or community, they are natural organizers, often taking charge of events, rituals, or collective decisions with grace and maturity. Their presence is calming and structured. People rely on them during times of instability because of their clear sense of right and wrong. Creatively, they are less flamboyant than their Purva Phalguni counterparts, but they bring a refined sense of harmony and aesthetics to whatever they do. They may express creativity through design, music, healing arts, or social planning, often incorporating values of balance, alignment, and meaning. Their art or service is rarely for show. It serves a higher purpose, often grounded in uplifting others or improving societal well-being. Emotionally, Uttara Phalguni individuals are stable, sensitive, and deeply loyal, though they may not wear their hearts on their sleeves. They process emotion through reflection and duty and prefer structured outlets such as journaling, ritual, or service to others. They are not easily swayed by emotional highs and lows, and they offer emotional shelter to those they love. Their challenge lies in allowing themselves to be vulnerable rather than always being the support system. At a soul level, Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra represents the mature form of love and connection, love that serves, protects, and uplifts. These individuals are here to establish sacred partnerships, build dharmic communities, and serve others with loyalty and grace. Their karmic path is about transforming romantic or social ideals into structured, lasting foundations, reminding us that true joy arises not just from receiving love, but from being a vessel of it in service of shared growth and higher values. Planets in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. When the sun is in Uttara Phalguni, it expresses itself through dignity, leadership, and commitment to service. These individuals shine in roles where they can uplift others through fairness, structure, or responsibility. The sun here creates reliable, principled leaders, those who guide not with ego, but with a deep sense of duty and legacy. When balanced, this sun placement brings wise, benevolent authority. If afflicted, it can lead to rigid pride, excessive control, or a burdened sense of self-worth tied to performance. With the moon in Uttara Phalguni, emotional stability, loyalty, and commitment become central themes. These individuals are emotionally mature, dependable, and nurturing in practical ways. Their feelings are rooted in duty and shared purpose, especially in family or partnership. The moon here gives a calm, service-oriented nature that prefers quiet consistency over dramatic emotional expression. When under stress, they may suppress emotions or overextend themselves in caregiving roles. When integrated, this moon fosters emotional resilience and moral strength. When Mars is in Uttara Phalguni, the warrior energy is refined and directed toward protecting others, maintaining structure, or fighting for justice. These individuals are strategic, ethical, and driven by higher ideals, especially in leadership or collaborative environments. Mars here gives the drive to serve through action, whether in healthcare, law, administration, or mentorship. If imbalanced, this placement may produce workaholism, suppressed anger, or frustration from unacknowledged efforts. With discipline, it manifests as noble service through courageous perseverance. Mercury in Uttara Phalguni creates organized, thoughtful communicators who excel in planning, counseling, or resolving disputes. Their speech is measured, practical, and value-driven, often applied in contracts, teaching, or writing. They are often mediators who bring order and clarity to relationships or systems. However, if afflicted, Mercury may manifest as overanalysis, excessive criticism, or passive-aggressive communication. At its best, Mercury here becomes a voice for ethical clarity, logical harmony, and cooperative understanding. With Jupiter in Uttara Phalguni, wisdom takes the form of ethical service, social responsibility, and dharmic teaching. These individuals often become spiritual mentors, community advisors, or justice-seeking professionals. They carry strong moral convictions and are drawn to partnerships, organizations, or causes that reflect their higher ideals. Jupiter here expands a desire to uplift society through structured guidance, though it may lead to rigid dogma or excessive idealism, if not balanced with humility. Venus in Uttara Phalguni manifests as a love that is loyal, respectful, and deeply rooted in commitment. These individuals are affectionate and charming, but their idea of romance is grounded. They seek lasting companionship, not fleeting flirtation. They are drawn to traditional values, aesthetic refinement, and service-based partnerships. Venus here gives elegant charm and a love for harmony in all dealings, but can become too duty-bound or emotionally suppressed if the emotional body is not acknowledged. Saturn in Uttara Phalguni brings a deep sense of responsibility karmic service, and perseverance through structured effort. These individuals often carry burdens from family, career, or society, but they also carry the strength to transform those burdens into long-term stability. Saturn here may delay marriage or professional fulfillment, but ultimately builds lasting legacies. If afflicted, it may produce emotional fatigue or excessive self-sacrifice. When elated, it creates wise elders, policymakers, or servants of Dharma. With Rahu in Uttara Phalguni, the soul is drawn towards status through service, admiration through commitment, or recognition through partnership. These individuals may strive to be seen as righteous, reliable, or morally upright, even when struggling internally with self-worth or karmic pressure. Rahu here may produce a strong desire to be respected for loyalty or traditional values, but must avoid turning devotion into performance. When grounded, Rahu in this nakshatra brings innovative partnership models and transformative social reform. Ketu in Uttara Phalguni reflects past life mastery of duty, commitment, and ethical partnership. These individuals may instinctively know how to navigate contracts, relationships, or systems of support, yet may feel detached from personal desires or unsure of emotional needs in this life. They often seek solitude, simplicity, or spiritual detachment after fulfilling worldly obligations early on. Ketu here gives an instinct for quiet service and ancestral alignment, but must learn to open emotionally and reconnect with joy, not just responsibility. In all planetary placements, Uttara Phalguni teaches planets to mature, commit, and serve the collective good through the lens of ethical partnership, dharmic leadership, and relational balance. It offers the structure and clarity to transform romantic or social ideals into sacred bonds, sustainable systems, and cooperative purpose, always with honor, humility, and a heart aligned with service. The basics of Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra. Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra is the 21st lunar mansion in Vedic astrology, spanning from 2640 Sagittarius to 1000 Capricorn. Its name means the latter invincible one or later victory, reflecting its deep association with enduring success, long-term dharma, and moral triumph. Symbolized by the elephant tusk, it carries the legacy of power, commitment, and righteous conquest. If Purva Ashadha fights the battle for truth, Uttara Ashadha governs what happens after the battle is won, how truth is preserved, institutionalized, and carried forward with dignity. The ruling deities of Uttara Ashadha are the 10 Vishvadevas, universal gods embodying virtues such as goodness, truth, skill, willpower, time, and light. Their collective influence imbues this nakshatra with a rare ethical clarity and the capacity to act in alignment with cosmic order. These natives often feel a deep inner call towards service, structure, and legacy. They are the bearers of righteous responsibility, holding space for truth to mature and take root in lasting systems, whether personal, societal, or spiritual. Uttara Ashadha's Shakti is Aptyam Pushti Shakti, the power to gain long-lasting victory. This is not the fleeting glory of ambition, but the quiet, stable success of commitment, patience, and disciplined action. Individuals influenced by this nakshatra often emerge as late bloomers. Their true power unfolds slowly but surely. They may struggle early on with delays, burdens, or resistance, but they are cosmically wired to endure and ultimately succeed. Their success is hard-won and often includes karmic responsibilities that demand maturity, humility, and grounded leadership. Governed by the sun, Uttara Ashadha expresses the solar qualities of integrity, vision, and dutiful light-bearing. The sun here does not shine for personal glory. It illuminates paths for others, sustains tradition, and upholds moral order. As a result, natives can feel an inner pressure to live up to high standards or ancestral expectations. When balanced, the sun's rulership empowers them to be principled leaders, reformers, or stewards of spiritual truth. When unbalanced, it may manifest as rigid idealism, arrogance, or struggle with inner authoritarianism. Occupying the transition between Sagittarius and Capricorn, Uttara Ashadha blends Jupiterian dharma with Saturnian discipline. The idealism and vision of Sagittarius give way to Capricorn's pragmatism, allowing the individual to ground divine ideals into real-world structures. This junction marks a soul evolution, from philosophical seeker to committed practitioner, from spark to institution, from inspiration to implementation. Uttara Ashadha thus becomes a foundation builder in both inner life and external affairs. Those born under Uttara Ashadha are often seen as responsible, mature, and principled. They gravitate toward service-oriented or leadership roles where integrity and vision matter. Whether in education, government, law, or spiritual institutions, they feel called to guide others, uphold standards, and ensure continuity of values. Their spiritual journey often involves learning how to merge action with detachment, power with humility, and structure with soul. Challenges of Uttara Ashadha include excessive seriousness, burden-bearing, or a tendency to suppress emotions in favor of duty. Their high ideals may isolate them or attract opposition, and their fixed commitment to principle can sometimes make them inflexible. Life often teaches them to embrace patience over pride and cooperation over control. Their karmic journey lies in discovering that true victory is not just outward success, but inner steadiness in the face of time. At the soul level, Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra represents the maturation of Dharma, where ideals become practice and power becomes protection. These individuals are not here for glory, but for legacy. They are the keepers of truth, the architects of spiritual and social order, and the quiet warriors of light who stand firm long after others have retreated. Their mission is to win through endurance, to lead through virtue, and to leave behind a foundation that others can build upon. Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra characteristics. Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra natives are resolute, principled, and service-oriented individuals who embody the qualities of patient leadership and enduring strength. Ruled by the sun and presided over by the Vishvadevas, the universal deities of virtue, they are carriers of moral weight, often choosing paths that emphasize collective responsibility, truth, and spiritual alignment. Their energy is less about charisma and more about consistency. Whether as administrators, healers, protectors, or community elders, they function as anchors of stability in both personal and social ecosystems. Psychologically, they are mature, disciplined, and value-driven. Their minds are focused on legacy, impact, and doing what is right, even when it is difficult. From an early age, they may feel an inner burden to live honorably or uphold family or spiritual traditions. While not prone to emotional flamboyance, they often undergo deep internal battles related to responsibility, delayed success, or isolation. Through these trials, they cultivate inner integrity, detachment from ego, and the ability to serve without expectation of praise. In relationships, Uttara Ashadha natives are loyal, sincere, and steady, though often emotionally reserved. They may not express love in grand gestures, but their devotion is shown through action, protection, and moral support. They seek partners who respect duty, principle, and long-term growth, rather than fleeting passions. However, their high standards or emotional suppression can sometimes create distance or loneliness. Their journey involves learning to balance responsibility with vulnerability, allowing emotional closeness without sacrificing structure or boundaries. Creatively, they excel in roles that require planning, endurance, ethical grounding, or the ability to bring order out of complexity. They may be drawn to institution building, law, governance, philosophy, or service-oriented entrepreneurship. Their creativity is not whimsical. It is purposeful, structured, and often tied to a greater cause. They prefer to build systems, establish legacies, or create frameworks through which others can grow. Their work carries the weight of intention, and they are often remembered for what they leave behind, rather than how loudly they express themselves. Socially, Uttara Ashadha individuals are often respected for their maturity, fairness, and clarity. They command respect rather than demand it, and others naturally turn to them for advice in crises, especially those involving ethics or structure. They are not social butterflies, but they tend to form lasting bonds and influence others through quiet example. While they may sometimes appear aloof or overly serious, their presence has a calming and clarifying effect, like the still light of the sun that brings perspective, not heat. Emotionally, they are steady but guarded. Their emotional processing is slow and often filtered through reason, duty, or spiritual values. They may feel weighed down by expectations, especially familial or ancestral, and may wrestle with inner conflict between personal desires and moral obligations. Yet, when they open up emotionally, often later in life, their depth is immense. They offer support that is unwavering, and their emotional wisdom much into a kind of sacred trustworthiness that others instinctively rely on. Challenges for Uttara Ashadha natives include emotional rigidity, suppressed desires, or an excessive sense of duty. They may become overly identified with their roles or responsibilities, struggling to let go or embrace joy without guilt. Pride and moral superiority can also create blind spots, and they must be careful not to use righteousness as a shield for emotional avoidance. Their growth lies in learning that true virtue includes compassion for self as well as others, and that enduring strength is not the denial of vulnerability, but its embrace with grace. At a soul level, Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra represents the crystallization of Dharma into action, the spiritual warrior who builds, protects, and sustains the world not through force, but through unwavering commitment to truth. These individuals are here to uphold values that withstand time, to guide others with sober light, and to endure the trials that temper ego into humility. Their karmic journey is to embody noble responsibility with warmth, to shine with quiet confidence, and to remind the world that what lasts is what is built with virtue, patience, and inner clarity. Planets in Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra. When the sun is in Uttara Ashadha, it grants a deep sense of inner sovereignty rooted in dharma, responsibility, and ethical leadership. These individuals are defined by their principled stance and enduring commitment to truth, often acting as stewards of moral order. They shine through perseverance rather than flair, and their authority is earned over time. If unbalanced, the sun here can express as rigidity, self-righteousness, or a burdensome need to maintain an image of virtue. In its elevated form, it produces wise, dutiful leaders who embody patient strength and long-term vision. With the moon in Uttara Ashadha, emotional life becomes steady, dutiful, and tied to legacy and responsibility. These natives often mature early due to emotional burdens or ancestral expectations, developing emotional resilience through structure and self-discipline. They are reliable and principled in their emotional commitments, but may struggle to express vulnerability or receive support. When unbalanced, the moon here can lead to emotional detachment or a sense of emotional duty overriding joy. At its best, it gives rise to emotionally grounded individuals who nurture through protection, order, and ethical care. Mars in Uttara Ashadha creates fierce protectors and defenders of Dharma. These individuals act with strategic precision and are often drawn to roles that involve justice, institution building, or ethical enforcement. Mars here is less impulsive and more directed, focused on results that endure. However, if afflicted, it can create internalized anger, moral rigidity, or a harsh enforcement of ideals. In its higher expression, Mars in this nakshatra embodies the noble warrior, courageous, patient, and devoted to higher purpose over personal gain. Mercury in Uttara Ashadha produces disciplined, thoughtful communicators who use language to build systems, convey ideals, or uphold order. These individuals think structurally, often drawn to writing, education, administration, or law. Their speech carries weight, and they often teach by example. Immature expressions of this placement may lead to dogmatic or overly formal communication. When refined, Mercury here produces mentors, legal minds, or advisors whose words establish clarity, continuity, and ethical understanding. Jupiter in Uttara Ashadha blesses the native with long-term spiritual credibility, philosophical depth, and a slow but steady path of wisdom. These individuals often serve as educators, guides, or institutional leaders whose authority is earned through perseverance and devotion to truth. Jupiter here reinforces faith that matures through testing, often after delayed success or public recognition. If imbalanced, this placement may become morally rigid or overly attached to traditional views. When mature, it radiates timeless wisdom, ethical conviction, and magnanimous leadership. Venus in Uttara Ashadha seeks relationship as a sacred contract, rooted in mutual growth, loyalty, and moral compatibility. These individuals are not casual in love. They look for partners who reflect shared values and long-term stability. Venus here is graceful, loyal, and capable of deep emotional commitment, though it may initially idealize structured relationships or struggle with emotional suppression. When evolved, this placement creates elegant, purposeful lovers or artists who combine beauty with depth and love with enduring wisdom. Saturn in Uttara Ashadha brings karmic responsibility around leadership, morality, and emotional maturity. These natives often face early life burdens, societal expectations, or delays in recognition, learning to cultivate inner strength through discipline and humility. Saturn here refines the soul's commitment to truth by stripping away ego-driven ambition and replacing it with quiet, enduring service. If unevolved, it can produce moral rigidity or bitterness around slow progress. At its peak, this placement builds spiritual anchors, elders, guides, or reformers who lead with unshakable integrity. With Rahu in Uttara Ashadha, there is a karmic hunger to rise through institutions, uphold moral causes, or gain recognition as a protector of truth. These individuals may be drawn to politics, law, or spiritual leadership, seeking status through ethical alignment. Rahu here can produce powerful reformers or charismatic ideologues, but it also risks pride in righteousness or superficial morality. When balanced, Rahu in this nakshatra supports transformative leadership that marries ambition with service and visibility with virtue. Ketu in Uttara Ashadha reflects a past life mastery of duty, ethics, or institutional leadership, now seeking inner liberation from external burdens. These individuals may feel disillusioned with worldly roles or public expectations, turning instead to a quieter path of service, introspection, or spiritual detachment. Ketu here often produces renunciates, wise advisors, or humble preservers of tradition who no longer seek power, but still guide from behind the scenes. In its highest state, it embodies quiet nobility and sacred detachment, serving without identity and protecting without pride. Planets in Uttara Ashadha Nakshatra are tested not by quick wins, but by long-term alignment with truth, responsibility, and ethical service. Whether expressed through intellect, emotion, action, or love, each graha in this nakshatra must mature through patience, sacrifice, and duty. Uttara Ashadha does not seek fleeting glory. It builds legacy through virtue, anchoring light into structures that endure beyond the self.